Admiral Stavridis, I ask you at this juncture, just taking the focus off Donald Trump for a second. We understand how important the kind of breakdown of the bill that was kind of being cobbled together that put border security in with Ukraine and Israel aid. That obviously fell apart, but there's now some energy on the Hill to actually get that Ukraine bill up through the Senate at least, and maybe through the House. Tell us what you think, not just what, I'm not going to ask you for a political read on whether you think it's going to pass, but what do you think is at stake in terms of getting that legislation through?
Everything, as follows. This is a 1939 moment when the United States can lead the band here and shut down Vladimir Putin now in Ukraine, which is not a NATO member. And if we don't shut him down now, it will be called appeasement, and it will have a knock-on effect that we will pay for later. From 1939, we kind of tried to come home and hide back here in the United States. In 1941, the world reached out for us. We ended up in two global wars, one with Imperial Japan, the other with Nazi Germany. So history has shown us this movie already. Now's our chance to stop it. And I'll conclude with this, everybody. You know, we've talked about kind of the philosophy of this and the importance of it and the historical references. There's a very pragmatic reason that we ought to continue to build on this NATO alliance, and it's called the rest of the world. We are desperately seeking now for our NATO allies to come to the Middle East and operate with us to shut down Houthi pirates. We are asking our NATO allies to come to the South China Sea and sail with us so China doesn't simply co-opt that enormous body of water. There are real pragmatic reasons we want to keep this alliance together, and not to torture football one more time, but we get to be the quarterback of this alliance. The stupidest thing we could do is simply walk away from that role, fire the offensive line, and decide that we don't want to play the game anymore because the game will come here and find us.
Oh, it will. It will come here and find us. And, you know, it's so stupid. We do this all the time. You know, in 2010, most Americans agreed with President Obama. I'm not saying what he did was stupid. In 2010, because so many people, you know, myself included, said, okay, well, we've been over in Iraq enough. Let's just bring them home. We brought them home. Then came ISIS. We didn't move in Syria. 500,000 dead. I'm not saying we have to send in 200, 300,000 troops everywhere. We need to support people on the ground. We need to support the Kurds. Maybe we send in a couple thousand here, a couple thousand there. It has worked. We have now figured out how to, Admiral, put in a small footprint, and with that small footprint, like for instance in Syria, push back Iran, push back Syria, push back Russia, push back Turkey, push back, well, destroy ISIS. I mean, we figured this out, and yet with Donald Trump and with the House Republicans, they really are. It's 1939 isolationists. They are appeasers. They are Neville Chamberlain. It's all they are. They're Neville Chamberlain, and the message they send to Vladimir Putin by following Donald Trump, who is beyond Neville Chamberlain. Neville Chamberlain was actually an honorable man, made the wrong call. But it's far worse than that. And so what is the impact, not only on our allies, but what are they saying in Beijing tonight?
In Beijing, they are doing high fives at the prospect of breaking the transatlantic alliance because we are so much weaker when the pieces and parts start to fall apart. And Joe, to your point about using smaller footprints around the world, that's what we did in Colombia and ended up taking out an insurgency there before it took over a massive and important country. That's what we did in the Balkans. We never had hundreds of thousands of troops there. We can do this smart. We don't have to be the world's policeman. Final thought. It's so much easier when you do it with allies. Winston Churchill, most quotable man in the world, said, you know, it's pretty frustrating fighting with allies. But you know, the only thing worse is fighting without allies. I'll take the allies.
There you go.